Welcome to the Bell of Lost Souls Tabletop Hour. I'm your friendly neighborhood Abe, and this is
Adam Harry.
And we're here to talk about, for 1 hour, the hottest, latest news in tabletop gaming.
Yes.
Today we're going to be talking about some Star Wars X-Wing and some FFG Star Wars games in general. We're going to give some predictions and thoughts on the new stuff for Kill Team.
Yes.
And then we've got some hot Spelljammer news.
Spelljammer.
So it's all spaceships all the time today.
It's all spaceships all the time
spaceships,
right now.
Yeah,
we're looking forward to it.
So we've got an hour to talk about this. And first off, we're going to talk about some new stuff from FFG X-Wing.
Yes. As you see in front of you, we have the Saul's Renegades box. We also have the TIE Reaper.
Man.
We ripped that box up. It's gone.
Yeah, it's gone. Adam actually ate it.
I did.
He
it
just
was
was
delicious.
like...
But no, this is an exciting release. This is like the last and final wave before we get X-Wing 2.0, which I believe is coming out. Well, the official release date is September the 13th.
But we might see some stuff at like Gen Con.
Probably. If I had to put money on it,
Yeah.
I would definitely say Gen Con release. Probably going to have some core sets floating around. I'm just guessing.
If you're a big company and you have some big release coming out around Gen Con,
you bring some to Gen Con.
Yeah,
That's just like a thing.
It's very traditional.
Yeah.
So one thing that's interesting about these two sets, though, is they're kind of an in-between forward compatible system, right? So they come with everything you need to play these three ships in current 1.0
you get all the cards. You get the new S-foil fix for the X-Wing, which is a big deal. But then, of course, you also get all of the new cards
for 2.0
as well. So it's a big release, big deal. It's just like our first. It's like the first widespread release where everybody's going to actually get to look at the X-Wing cards,
right?
And the 2.0 cards,
right? And in some ways, it's kind of. I mean, I don't know how far along in the design process they are, but at least you can maybe look at the TIE Reaper and think of this as being the first ship designed from the ground up with 2.0 in mind, right?
I mean, that's a good possibility. I don't know for sure. When I was up visiting FFG, they had pretty much everything done.
Sure.
Like, they knew what they were going to do. I think stuff was just getting printed at that point.
Right.
This is a couple months back. But,
yeah,
they knew exactly what they were doing.
So, like,
all the ships got
every other ship is being updated to 2.0. But this is maybe a ship that is a little more designed with 2.0 in mind.
Yeah.
And it's interesting. So these are two different sets. Now, the other thing that's interesting is that the Renegade, or the Reaper here, is an entirely new ship, right?
This is brand new ship, not a repaint with some tweaks.
But these two, the T65 and the U-Wing from Star Wars Renegades, are reprints or repaints. Really cool color scheme. All of these ships come from Rogue One, a Star Wars story.
Yep.
Though the Reaper is a little more visible in it, I guess. I mean, there's lots of X-Wings and U-Wings in the movie.
But they're not this paint job.
Yeah, this paint job is a little harder to see in the movie.
Yeah. Oh, another thing, too, like, these are all... They still move.
Yep.
Like, wing-wise, they still move.
This is the new T65 model.
Yep.
So the wings do open and close on it.
And just a pro tip, squeeze the engines to open it, not the wings, because they will break. I was told that by the designers.
He's been pushing this pro tip for like months now.
Yeah.
And it's in the instructions.
It's in the instructions, man.
Yeah. So Adam's ahead of the curve here.
You gotta follow the instructions.
Yeah. So, really cool. And what's kind of funny to me is that both the X-Wing and the U-Wing in Star Wars Renegades are kind of like... People look at them as fixes for the X-Wing and U-Wing, right?
Yeah.
When they first announced them, before they had announced 2.0, they were like, this is going to fix the T65. This is going to fix the U-Wing.
It's going to make that T65 awesome.
Right. And there are fixes.
Arguably it did.
Yeah. So it's amusing to me that this is going to come out, as we said, September 13th is the official release date.
Less than 2 months now.
Yeah. So about you'll have this...
Yeah, just about 2 months.
Yeah, about 2 months before they actually just change everything and fix those ships anyway, or
I think
rebalance
it's a good change, though, because you still have regionals going on, tournaments, and I don't know for sure how the X-Wing Champs is going to work this year.
Yeah, I don't know.
With the qualifiers being for X-Wing 1, and then... But it's important,
Right, and just because people are going to have to buy all the new stuff and learn to use it, it's probably going to be more than maybe just 2 months. Like... super competitive players are gonna are probably already switched over. I know some of the local guys are already basically playing 2.0, just with everything that's been as far as they can.
As far as they can,
with everything that's been released and stuff like that. So there's definitely like the high level competitive stuff who's gonna switch over as soon as possible. But a lot of the more casual players, are gonna take some time to switch over, buy all the new stuff, learn the new rules. So it's probably gonna be for average player more than straight 2 months.
Yeah, for sure. I think the process for a casual player is actually going to be pretty easy.
Yeah,
you're not gonna have a lot to like relearn. If you're casual, there's a lot of tweaks and stuff. I call them just quality of life improvements to the game.
Right.
So there's not a ton of huge technical changes that you're going to have to like flush from the previous edition and relearn. It's a lot of I equate it more to like building on the foundation with better tools now.
Right.
So like a lot of the stuff you did before you can still do. It's just going to be cleaner or better versions of that. For example, all of the hash marks now on the bases make moving the ships easier.
So speaking of bases, one of the things that's interesting about these being cross-compatible is that the Reaper and the U-Wing come with 2 bases in this box, right?
They all come with large bases, and keen-eyed viewers may have recognized these guys are on smaller bases. These are medium-sized bases now. And they actually, each one of these boxes actually comes with that. So in a weird way, you get extra plastic bases, which is kind of handy.
So the medium base is a new thing for 2.0. That's been introduced. That things like this, which is great because as you can see here, the U-Wing looks like a much better fit. It's much more natural on this medium base
versus the large base.
Yeah, when it was on the large base, it definitely felt like it was dwarfed by this base. I mean, the wings are big, but other than that, you're like, does this need to be on this giant base?
Right.
And you definitely had that with some of the large base ships that like the U-Wing. So this is really a great fit. This base... It looks good. It feels much more natural for the actual physical hull size of the U-Wing.
And we've been saying this for a while now, but if you think about it in terms of like a ratio of like the X-Wing, the small bases are 1 and the large bases are 2, then the medium bases are like a 1.5.
1.5,
So just ratio-wise, that's how they work, how it kind of works together. So, but yeah, it's pretty cool having the medium bases now. I can't wait to see what some of the ships fly like now with medium bases.
I mean, it's a whole new math. It's all very interesting.
I think that's one of the biggest ships. It's gonna really drive that newness.
Yeah.
It's this weird. It's like I was trying to think of a good analogy to try to describe X-Wing 2.0 because it's very familiar, but it's very there's like a fresh coat of paint on it or something. I don't know how to...
It's like going back to like your mom's house after she's remarried and your stepdad's moved in and kind of like redone everything for him. So like it's all really familiar and you're like, oh, that's my mom's house. But then like there's all this weird stuff from your stepdad. But maybe he's not so bad. And then like you get to know him and you bond with him and like you play some catch out in the back. I don't know. My mom never remarried. I'm just kind of making this up.
Yeah.
I don't have a frame of reference for this.
Yeah, it's just like that, Abe. I don't know either. But my point is, it definitely feels... It's going to be very, very familiar for veterans and casual players. At the same time, the changes are good.
Right.
Like, it's new, it's fresh, the changes are good. I mean, we've talked about that before with, like, the Bullseye arcs getting added in there. All that fun stuff. X-Wing 2.0 is just a lot of good stuff. But in these boxes in particular...
So what do we get in these boxes? So we get the Saj Renegade, which has...
You get a ton of X-Wings, a ton of U-Wing pilots and ships. I think you get 3 generic for both.
Yeah, because these are also sort of conversion packs to convert your other X-Wings or U-Wings to get in here. Right. So there's 4 different pilots for... the X-Wing. There's the Cavern Angel Zealots, which are your really cheap, basic one. That's the one you get. Yeah. You do get 3 of those cards.
And real fast, too, about the X-Wing, the fixes to the X-Wing. Right. On top of getting the S-foils, you also get the Renegade Refit, which basically is a -2 cost upgrade for your X-Wings for 1.0. And it allows you to equip 2 different modification upgrades. And the squad point cost of each one of your equipped elite pilot talents upgrades is reduced by 1 to a minimum of 0.
Right.
So this makes everything cheaper, and then the S-foils gives you some added maneuvers, and you can still have an additional modification. So yes, this makes the T-65
a lot better.
A lot better.
Definitely.
And I was when I was up visiting one of the designers, Max Brooks, he said he felt like the X-Wing, the T-65, is probably the most improved ship from 1.0 to 2.0. So I can't wait to fly that ship, the T-65 again.
It's kind of the iconic ship of the
It's kind of named after him. Yeah. We saw a lot of T-70s.
We did. I mean, towards the end of it.
Towards the end,
they came out.
That was a great ship when it came out, and we saw a lot of those moving forward. But now we're gonna get to fly our old T-65s. I'm super pumped about that. I think the changes to like Luke and to Wedge. I got to look at the We did the unboxing for the conversion pack too, so. But you can go back and check those out on our YouTube channel. But
how's Porkins doing in 2.0?
Porkins.
Can he hold it together?
Porkins. I think his KFC fingers gets in the way. Anyway, but Biggs and Wedge and I think Luke are all a lot of fun to fly now.
I think so too. And the U-Wing was also the U-Wing, I will say, is one of the best models I think they've made for X-Wing.
Yeah.
This is an either paint job, an amazing model.
Yeah.
It looks really cool, and it was one of the first models that had a big. I mean, it's really
a huge wingspan.
And it moves and looks just really cool.
Put that guy down on the table, and I'll actually.
Yeah.
We can. The cool part about it is, get ready to see more of this. I got it. Get ready to see more of this type of stuff. I think in X-Wing 2.0.
I've got
to play with the Y-Wing. The Y-Wing's a bigger ship physically now.
And they definitely upped their model game.
Yeah, totally.
Moving gas foils.
The Falcon, the Lando's Falcon coming out for Scum and Villainy, that thing actually comes apart.
Right, yeah.
Like, that's cool. The escape pod actually comes apart. I can't wait to play around with it. I'm probably going to lose that.
This little bomb.
We saw the preview for that. That was exciting.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can see here, again, that medium base, the wings move. It was one of the coolest models they've done.
Yeah, but
open and closed.
It was really an underused model. People didn't like it. It was... it didn't really have a good role or points efficiency, I guess, in the competitive scene.
Just so we can, comparison-wise, here's the Reaper.
Yeah.
Just to show that off, too. And, again, you can see that these are both medium bases now, just to compare, again, one more thing. Here's what a large base would look like, comparatively. You can see it's a smaller footprint here. The new ship tokens for the bases have the bullseye arc drawn on it now. They have hash marks for all of the different arcs, which is cool. They've got hash marks for the middle of the ship, for both the front and the sides, which is very cool. There are effects that trigger off of things like that.
Right.
One of the biggest ones is going to be your barrel roll options.
Barrel roll's big, yeah.
They wanted to make it more in line with boost. Boost when you boost, you really have three positions you're going to end up as. With barrel roll, they did the same thing.
Right. So
there's only 3 positions instead of infinite along a line. Mathematically, it's infinite, but whatever. It also helps speed up the gameplay because if you barrel right, you've got 3 options: 1, 2, or 3. There's no like I'm gonna guesstimate here, you know. So
no, let me go back. That wasn't quite what I needed.
Yeah. It does speed the game up.
Yeah, and these are it's a good thing to show these two off because they are kind of the complementary ship. They serve a similar role, right? Yeah. They're both kind of like armored.
They're both kind of transports,
but like armored. Yeah. Gunship transport kind of things. So interesting thing. I'm actually surprised we took so long for the Reaper to show up.
Yeah. By the way, the wing profile, pretty cool, right? Mm-hmm. What if I got 2 of these and turned them sideways, Abe? What is that now?
Oh. It's like a giant interceptor.
Bingo.
Or silencer, maybe.
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
I just was playing around with it and noticed it. Put 2 of them side by side, have a giant interceptor.
Yeah. No,
it's gonna happen.
It's definitely a really cool model. So, what do they do for the U-Wing to make it a little better?
The U-Wing also has in 1.0. Let's see. I think it also got a bit of a refit, if I remember. Well,
the Renegade refit can go for U-Wings too, right?
Yes. Sorry, Renegade refit.
That's the big thing. Yeah.
Can work for the T65 or the U-Wing.
Right. So
this one card is viable for both ships, and it takes up a torpedo slot. So cool.
Yeah. So it's kind of their Chandafan refit version.
Charting refit. Yeah.
And they got new stuff.
The new ships are pretty cool. Unfortunately. This is one thing I was a little disappointed about with these boxes. They do not include the threat levels for these 2 ships.
For the 2 ships, okay.
And if you're not familiar, threat level is what you used for like a quick play version of the game. So Abe and I are playing a game. We don't have the app yet, so we can't build lists. But if we have the threat level cards, I can say, "Hey Abe, let's play a 5 threat level game."
5 threat level, yeah.
And that's typical. That's a typical size game. And so how you would calculate your threat level is each ship has a pre-built list of upgrades that comes with it and a specific pilot, and they have a threat level between 1 and 5. And then Abe and I would just build a squadron based on those threat levels.
Right.
So if I wanted to do a threat level 5, I could run a threat level 2 and a threat level 3 pilot or whatever, or 5 threat level 1s or 1 threat level 5. You get what I'm saying?
Right. So
unfortunately, they weren't included.
They weren't in this one, but they are in the Reaper box, aren't they?
I don't remember.
I think I saw them in the Reaper, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, I didn't see them, and they're not in the conversion packs either. So,
well, I guess there are X-wing and U-wing ones though.
So right, there are out there.
You just can't use like Dorsaw.
Yeah, we'll have to wait to see, you know,
how that works.
How that works in the future.
You know, he's too far out there, man. He's too rogue for like.
He's too rogue.
Yeah, he's like, I'm a gorilla. I don't believe it. My threat level is guerrilla tactics. Yeah, there is no quantifying what I can do. I overthrow governments, man.
That's right. Threat level 1 million.
Yeah.
Too much threat to play with.
You heard it here.
No, but I think eventually you'll get those.
Probably there'll be a pack
or something, or they might release threat level cards.
Yeah.
I don't know why they didn't include those with the conversion packs, because again, we can't play it because all of the points and all of the modification options are actually included in the app.
We can't play accurately.
We can't play accurately.
Yeah.
Now, if you do want to play kind of spitballing right now, if you just take the current point values and double everything to 200 points, that's basically how they went with it. So you're going to have some outliers there,
sure,
but just ballpark it. That's going to get you close.
So let's talk about the Reaper for a second here.
Yeah.
Since this is a new ship to the game?
Put me on the spot. Trying to remember now.
Yeah. What do you think is kind of like the role of it?
Man, I don't know. It's got in 1.0, right? It's got multiple crew slots. So it's got that going for it.
And Krennic is a big new character, right?
Yeah.
He's got some really interesting stuff. He like hands out experimental upgrades and makes other ships better and stuff like that, right?
So it's kind of a beefy transport. Krennic, like you said, has the experimental upgrades which you can toss around. Like I said, it has multiple crew slots. So it's definitely like a support ship.
Yeah.
I don't know if we have the card over here, but yeah, it's kind of a support ship, and it can still pack a punch.
Yeah.
Right. So a lot of the crew slots can do some crazy stuff. That's one of the things I'm actually looking forward to in 2.0. Is I feel like the crazy combos that you can do in 1.0 aren't going to be as important.
And that's the other big thing is we don't know all the upgrade slots in 2.0, so sometimes it's hard to tell what the ship's role in 2.0 is going to be.
Right.
Like, I can kind of guess, but like, does this have one crew slot, two crew slots? Does it suddenly have missiles or something?
Yeah, and depending on the ship, that could actually be different ship to ship too. They've talked about that where in the app eventually they will have everything listed for you, and tournaments. They actually gather a lot of data from tournaments whenever they host like a Worlds or Champ or whatever. FFG actually does pay attention to their tournament results, and if they find a ship skewing like the Jumpmaster 5K did to the top, they'll be a lot faster about tweaking that ship to bring it more in line with everybody else, which I think is good.
500 points.
Yeah, 500 points. It's more expensive from what I was told, and it's going to be it's more expensive, and they tweaked a lot of the options. So.
All right, well that's kind of our stuff about the new X-Wing.
I'm excited.
We've got
I don't know if you can tell.
Full unboxings, right?
Full unboxings of all 3 conversion packs: the Rebel Alliance, the Galactic Empire, and the Scum and Villainy. All 3 of those are on our YouTube channel. Those are all live. Those BoLS Souls, our YouTube channel. Yeah. And then also available is the core set unboxing as well. So if you want to take a look at all 4 of those, they're live now. And I think if you go check today, there might be another one uploaded involving a fire spray and a certain bounty hunter.
We got unboxings for these guys coming?
These unboxings are also going to be live.
Yep.
We actually unboxed this one with our friends over at Dragon's Lair for our Tabletop Spotlight.
Okay.
So those will be up. Those might be up here in a minute or two. I have to go double check.
Yeah. So
but the full unboxings will be available.
Yeah, a lot more detail about this coming up. Yep. So let's move over to a different kind of
Star Wars, right?
No, not Star Wars anymore. I think. We're going to move over to.
I thought you said there was some Legion stuff you wanted to mention. Was there anything for Legion?
Nothing particularly new coming out.
Okay.
I just speculation.
Speculation.
Always speculating.
Yeah.
It's interesting to see all of the X-Wing stuff coming from Rogue One still down the pipeline.
Yeah.
So it makes me wonder, past Rogue One, like...
it's in the same time frame.
It is in the same... Well, it really makes me wonder how Solo is going to affect the movies. Because we're seeing Solo stuff coming out for X-Wing 2. And I'm wondering how it's going to affect Legion in particular, because... now that we're a few weeks out...
Yeah.
Spoilers, but there is some pretty cool stuff for ground combat
Yeah, there was quite a bit. Now that you mention it. Those mud troopers, huh?
There's mud troop. Well, there's the range trooper, which are the guys on Vandar on the train. Yeah. There's the whole Imperial Army stuff.
That was actually one of the coolest parts.
Which is definitely one of the coolest parts.
I felt was like we got a whole new look at the Empire from the literal ground up. I thought that was a super cool change because we don't ever see that. We see stormtroopers fighting Ewoks,
right?
And the occasional rebel skirmish on like an ice planet or salt planet or whatever, but we don't ever see like the actual Imperial Army at work.
Right.
And we don't get to meet any like stormtroopers other than like Finn.
Yeah.
You know,
we don't get to meet,
put some faces to those guys when you know, again,
and we don't get to fight them when they're not really generally when they're not fighting like the rebels. Like they weren't fighting the Rebel Alliance in that scene. There wasn't any rebels. We have no idea who they were fighting, really.
They were just fighting on some planet they were trying to take over.
Or retake, or put down an uprising, or who knows even.
It felt very World War I,
right?
It?
They were just like, yeah, we're in this trench, and people are shooting us, and I have no idea what's actually happening.
You don't really ever see the enemy.
It was kind of a mix of like World War I and Vietnam to me, right? Like the the trenches and all that looked very World War I, but kind of like the feeling of just
but it felt Vietnam.
Yeah, like I don't even know why we're here, or like who we're fighting, and like we're just on this planet doing something because someone sent us here.
Yeah, go take Hill 421.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
that's where TK got his name from.
Oh, there you go.
Anyway,
so that's interesting to me, and also you have like Infus Nest and her whole Rebel stuff. So there's some pretty cool stuff coming from there, I think.
I think it'd be really cool.
Yeah. But switching franchises now. And gears.
We're shifting gears. That was the gear shift. What are we shifting to?
The other war.
The other war?
There's different gears of war.
We went from the Star Wars to the gear shift of Gears of War to
Warhammer.
Okay, that's where we're going.
There we go. Yeah, it's all
Kill
just
Team.
All just different gears of war here, though. Right?
I got you.
Right. Yeah. So let's talk about some predictions for Kill Team. We've got some articles that have come out.
Yeah.
We know it's coming out fairly soon.
Yeah. I believe July. I saw a trailer today or something for July 21st, if I remember correctly. So
it's pretty soon.
It's pretty soon, end of the month-ish. So a couple weeks out. Let's talk about what we do know so far.
We do know. Okay.
Okay. So we know there are 16 factions.
Right.
Pretty much every faction in 40K is going to have Kill Team options,
and it's
including Necrons and Tyranids.
Right.
I'm super pumped.
And it's like 100, 200 models per side, right?
Yeah, that's a Kill Team. Man.
Yeah.
100 models.
I mean, I don't know. That's actually a Taram Kill Team.
Fair enough. No, we're talking small scale skirmishes. 5 to 10 models per team. 16 factions. What's been really interesting is they have said that this is going to be an alternating activation game, which we'll get to in a minute. But at the same time, it looks like it very heavily uses some 40K DNA. Like, obviously the models, but even to the core rules. So this is something that's really been bothering me, and I want to know more because things like the Canicles for the Admech that they showed off. Canicles are going to be in that game. The Gene Stealer Cult ambush tactics, those special rules are in the game. So I'm wondering, like, first off, where are we going to find all these Kill Team special rules at? Are they all going to be in the core book?
Sure.
Or are we basically just going to be using the codex with our kill teams? You know, that's one of the questions I have. And the other big question I have is, like, how are these alternating activations going to work? Because fans have been clamoring for all. There's been a segment of fans, at least.
Well, Necromunda has alternating activations.
Right, but I'm just talking like people have wanted alternating activation 40K for a very long time. It's actually a really popular thing for other war games. Actually, one of the things that makes 40K unique is that it doesn't do alternating activation.
In this day and age, it wasn't. It wasn't so much in the past.
Right,
and there are still big war games. Flames of War doesn't do alternating activation. Armada does.
Yep. See.
Yeah. But there are definitely still games that don't do it.
And 40K itself has dabbled in alternating activations with the close combat phase now.
Sure.
So that's kind of maybe that's a sign of things to come. I don't know. I don't know if that's going to be an alternating or like if that's the only alternating activation, or if are we going to be actually moving, charging, and meleeing and shooting with one model and then go to a new model. Or?
A lot of Warhammer skirmish games have done alternating activation. It's
not
at all a new idea for the skirmish.
No,
games.
But I'm just curious. Like, so here's my big theory, right? We've got alternating activations now in Kill Team. We've got alternating activations in 40K in the close combat section, right? Is there some way, if the DNA is close enough, is there some way to play a big game of 40K using the alternating activation rules from Kill Team.
Well,
that would make people flip out.
That would make people flip out, definitely.
Because this game is also designed for long-term support. Games Workshop has said that.
Well, it's easy for them to support. You just
make more rules for it. But
you don't actually make any models, right? You just, anytime some new thing comes out for 40K, you're like, here's the Kill Team rule for it.
Sure. Long-term support is, they talked about wanting to do that, so whatever that looks like. They have also talked about it being viable for open narrative and, more importantly, match play.
Which I think, let's talk about that for a second.
Yeah.
Because that's a really interesting idea, right? Because now you can have tournaments for Kill Team. Which is something, I love Necromunda, but you can't really have tournaments in Necromunda. That's much more based around campaigning.
Let's sidetrack to their sidetrack.
Sure.
If we were going to do a 40K or Necromunda campaign tournament, how would that even look?
I mean, there are points for building out basic squads, but Necromunda is definitely its own thing, and it's much more based around narrative and campaign.
Right. So
it's possible, but
backtracking to Kill Team, how does a Kill Team tournament work? And I think we need to see everything.
I need to see that, but I would imagine if there's rules for match play, you just build your list and there's no campaign or anything, and it's just like a 40K tournament, or maybe a better analogy is more like a Shadespire tournament.
Right.
Which we've seen
work very well, actually.
But now you have this whole other type of tournament you can run, and this gives you two really cool options. If you're like a tournament organizer or a campaign organizer, right? Now you can be like, well, maybe I want people to come, but flying with a whole 40K army is really hard, right?
It is.
Like that, especially if you have like a
legit problem.
Yeah, especially if you have a big, Astra Militarum army.
Nobody has those names.
It's true. But flying with this can be a problem.
Unless there's the 32 guys that everybody takes.
32, little 32,
little 32.
But flying with like 5 or 10 models for a Kill Team is really easy.
Yeah,
right?
totally.
So now you could have your tournament where it's just a straight up Kill Team tournament, and people want to still come and enjoy the convention.
Yeah,
like I want to go to Adepticon, right? It's a big event, but man, flying and playing a whole tournament is a pain. So now I can just come and do the Kill Team tournament.
I'm gonna bring my 10 models. Me and a buddy are gonna go. Maybe we're gonna take up half the table space, so we can actually fit 4 players or more.
Players. And it doesn't have to be as long. I don't know if the games are any shorter, but
I think I saw somewhere that it is going to be shorter.
Obviously. I would imagine it would
I wouldn't peg a game more than 90 minutes.
Right.
Which, if that's the case, you could probably have a 7-round tournament in a weekend real easy.
If you wanted to have
something like that.
So that's one option, is that you make this a main tournament and people can fly to that. The other option is like, this is a great Friday night tournament. If your main tournament is Saturday and Sunday, right?
Yeah.
You do, all right, this is my Friday night tournament.
This is when people are still flying in. Maybe they got it that day and they don't have everything ready to go right at the bat.
Right.
Like, but I want to play.
You're like, I'm playing Chaos, I'm playing Space Marines as my main list, and I've got my Space Marine Kill Team that I'm just going to pull out of that.
Yep.
And I showed up at the tournament earlier, and it's the Friday afternoon tournament. Like, people
3
get
rounds.
off work, 3 rounds. A couple hours on Friday afternoon, and then the next. So if you want that extra tournament, you can fit that in, or if your tournament's on Friday and Saturday, it's the Thursday night tournament.
Or conversely, if somebody's having a bad go of the main tournament event, how easy is it going to be? Like, okay, I'm going to drop and go play a Kill Team with my main force. I'm just going to take 10 models and go play now.
Definitely. I mean, there's a lot of options that you could do to have these Kill Team tournaments fit into like the awkward corners. It could also be if your tournament is like, because some tournaments are Friday, Saturday tournaments nowadays.
Sure,
right? This could be your Sunday morning tournament that's
perfect.
early. However you want to fit it in there, you do the Kill Team tournament, and now you don't have to carry an extra army to compete in this. You don't have to build it
absolutely.
Yeah. So it fits really well.
To steal an idea from Privateer Press, I mean, they have a lot of the overnight events and stuff like that they do. The Iron Gauntlet events. All of those things were like, you can just keep playing and accumulate tournament points or whatever, and then you can exchange those for like custom dice or these fun side events that Kill Team, I think, fills the perfect niche for.
And like you said, smaller tables, they're easier for event organizers to fit in. You can fit more players into your hall. You don't have to have as much room. Because that, especially, 40K is one of, and Age of Sigmar and those kind of things, are one of the most space-intensive kind of events and tournaments you can play.
In a standard game, 2 players are taking up a 6x4 area
of table,
not to
let alone
mention
their own area.
Like the floor around that table Yeah, and if you want to host a big 100+ person event, you have to find the square footage to support that.
Huge hall, right?
Yeah.
And then you have to get all the tables and all the terrain and all of that. So these smaller games like this are really good for event organizers and really popular.
Yep.
And I mean, that's one of the reasons why X-Wing has... If you look at like the size of X-Wing tournaments versus 40K tournaments, X-Wing tournaments are much bigger a lot of times.
They have a lot more players there because they can fit more players per square.
Exactly. And you don't have to buy terrain or anything. You just need mats, right? It's a lot easier to host an X-Wing tournament. Yeah.
And we have, speaking of mats, the Kill Team box showed off. They have that new mat, the board that you're going to be playing on. They've shown off the Killzone expansions are also supposed to have a board in there too. So who knows? I don't know if those boards are going to be like you can lay them down side by side and have an expanded board, or if it's just going to be that's the play area.
I saw one that didn't look like you could, but I don't know. But
if that's the play area, that's all
really,
you need.
Yeah, and I mean, this terrain is
the terrain
is like so good, right? Like
that is one of my favorite things about the games in general. Is
definitely,
it's fantastic. I am in love with the new Imperial Sector terrain that they showed off.
So I mean, this is a
Holy crap.
This is a great thing for Games Workshop and for 40K because even if you are not interested in Kill Team at all.
Which you should give it a shot. I totally think you should give it a shot.
There's still a good reason to buy a Kill Team box.
Yes.
Because it comes with this amazing terrain, and all the models are compatible for 40K, right? Like, you might argue that that's a weakness of something like Necromunda. I love Necromunda, and as a guard player, the models are... I can use them in a guard army, so no problem.
That's true.
But the Necromunda box didn't come with a lot of terrain. It just came with those little bulkheads and stuff.
Yeah, which worked for that.
Which were good for Necromunda, but weren't, like, crazy awesome terrain. There wasn't... If you didn't play guard and you were just like a Space Marine player in 40K,
there's not much for you.
There's not like a great reason for you to buy a Necromunda box because you're not going to get much that you're going to bring over and use unless you're really into like that little tentacle.
Conversely, Conversely, the Kill Team box we've seen, you get all this cool terrain. You get 2 factions in the box, Consular Cult and AdMech, and I think that's a really smart thing to do for Games Workshop because with 40K you have the ability to put in these little factions, right? A lot of these little detachments and things like that. This is a great way to plant some seeds for that future army. If you buy the box set,
some little Gene
Stealer seeds, you know?
Yeah, that sounds like a little bit of heresy, cultish heresy.
It is, but the point is that kill teams are small, but that'll get you started. You get the box set of like, say you want to play AdMech,
right?
So cool, I have like 10 AdMech dudes, cool. How can I expand that from there? I grab a start collecting box. And with these 10 models, I suddenly have enough to slot into my Astra Militarum army as a faction. Or I pick up a knight, and now I have an actual
list. This is especially true if you might have picked up the Forgebane box a little while ago when that came out.
Oh yeah.
Maybe you wanted to get those Knight Armigers, or you're a Necron player and you wanted the new Canoptic Cloak. Cryptek, and you picked up that Forgebane box, and now you've just got a couple random Skitarii laying around.
And now you buy Kill Team, you got a couple more.
Oh wow, there's your army right there.
I've got like 20, 30 models now.
It feels like someone's planning this.
I think it's an AdMech player.
AdMech player. There's definitely some AdMech player who's like,
hey guys, what if we use AdMech for this box set? And they just keep doing that.
You know what? I like this theory, but I don't think it's right.
Oh yeah?
I think it's a Dark Mechanicus player.
Ooh.
Who's slowly putting the seeds out there. He's like, I'm gonna slowly get everyone to get AdMech. And then the Dark Mechanicus is going to strike.
And then you see like, boom!
Bam! Dark Mechanicus, all your AdMech stuff is evil.
Boom. I like that
perfect.
Theory. There's totally somebody at GW is just like, I'm going to plan on my army over these box sets.
Yeah.
If you get all these box sets, then you'll actually have a full army.
A full army.
It'll be pretty cool.
So real quickly, here's my one worry. Let's talk about my biggest worry.
Biggest worry for Kill Team.
All right. There's a lot of skirmish games in 40K right
there
now.
Are
Larry wrote an article about it not too long ago.
It's true.
And depending on whether you're counting some of the board game-ish stuff, there's like a dozen or more little skirmish games. We had Shadow War Armageddon before, Death Watch Overkill, stuff like that. And more importantly, right now, if we count out all the stuff that kind of come out and flash in the pan, we have Necromunda.
We do have
Necromunda. Which is campaign-based, but can be a narrative big skirmish game with a lot of support, same scale.
They're still putting out
more, and they plan to put out a lot more stuff.
Which also has Cultist for Gene Stealer Cult and Chaos Cultist rules in White Dwarf.
And it's not that hard to convert other stuff to be in Necromunda if you want. So, what sets Necromunda A, what sets Necromunda and Kill Team apart?
Right.
And B, how can we... Is Kill Team going to kill Necromunda's support?
Yeah.
Or resources to that? How do we make sure the camera's about to die?
All right. Uh-oh. Technical difficulty.
1 second.
Plug it in.
Plug it in, plug it in, plug it in, plug it in.
Oh, there it is.
All right.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's my worry, right? Is that these games are either too similar, but I mean, they're obviously different games.
They obviously are different games,
but
they seem like they target the same audience,
the same
skirmish
niche.
level. So yeah, that goes back to what we were talking about at the top here about the DNA of the games, right?
Sure.
So Necromunda, yes, shares some DNA with 40K, but you can tell there's a very clear, distinct line.
Right.
Kill Team, on the other hand, from what we've seen, has me concerned about that. Like, are we just playing Skirmish 40K?
Are we just playing small scale 8th edition, basically?
Right. Are we just playing Skirmish scale 8th edition, which isn't a bad thing per se, but
sure.
I just don't know. I'm with you, Abe. I do have a worry about that. Is it going to cannibalize whatever other stuff is out there within GW?
From what I've seen, Necromunda does. First off, Necromunda has its own setting and aesthetic and thing. I wish it had more terrain. I'm glad, hopefully, the Kill Team terrain we can use for Necromunda. You could totally use it, yeah. But I do wish that there was a little more terrain support for Necromunda.
I just want the gangs to come out faster. That's my big thing. One of the big advantages Kill Team has actually over Necromunda is that day one, 16 factions are going to be supported. Right. Necromunda is still waiting to get gang. Like, we're on Khador. Like, we still haven't gotten the core gangs out yet.
They're still coming.
That's a big deal. Like, where are those gangs at, man?
But I mean, as someone who loves Necromunda, again, my worry is that they're gonna just kill it, right? Or the support's gonna dry up as those resources go into something like Kill Team, because those are two different skirmish games. And yes, they obviously have differences. Necromunda seems to be a little more complex game than Kill Team.
I think the narrative behind Necromunda is also one of the stronger points of that game.
But Kill Team is obviously
like
also able to build it, but Kill Team can also be played in a campaign, right?
It can be, but we don't know how the leveling up system
we don't know
works.
about if there's leveling up.
If a dude like that, are we gonna get the old battle mode, Abe? You know, right. That's what I want to know.
No, that's fair.
Those are all questions that we're gonna have to wait to answer until we get our hands on the rulebook to really, make a good.
We don't know all that. We do. I mean, is there room in that niche for various types? Is the skirmish 40K niche big enough for complex skirmish and simple skirmish and like medium simple skirmish?
Is the skirmish area already saturated? I mean,
is it saturated?
I mean, think about Blood Bowl. Sure. Is basically another skirmish. I mean, it's a different
Blood
game.
Bowl. There. I mean, if we're talking about
Silver Tower.
There's, Shadespire,
right.
all of these kind of things, and they all scratch slightly different itches.
They do.
Oh,
cards. That's another big deal. They've shown off that the Killzone expansions are going to come with cards that are unique to fighting in that location. So how much do the card game mechanics are going to play into Kill Team? That's another big question I have.
That's true. Yeah.
So
we're going to have to see about all this. I'm still excited, and if nothing else, it's going to be some awesome terrain. Right?
Yeah. Number one, terrain's going to be amazing.
Yeah, so we've got that to look forward to. If you do play 40K, there's basically no reason not to pick up a Kill Team box for some models, or trade off the models or something like that, and then also get your hands on...
We had a JR invasion.
Oh, there's a portal that's open. Well, I guess goodbye 40K.
We're out of here.
Yeah, so
okay.
that's our Kill Team. So we're gonna switch gears again.
The Gears of War have shifted once again.
Yeah.
To tabletop, and actually, you're supposed to be on the side.
Dang it. Side. Yeah. So we've got a special guest star. Adam, thanks for being on with us today.
Right on. Have fun out there.
Yeah. I would have popped up over here.
Take your drink with you and go get those videos uploaded that you promised everyone right now.
Go check.
They
go
would
fast.
have. Yeah.
Spelljammer time. Go.
So, speaking of ships in space, it's D&D in space!
Along with a bunch of other stuff.
Yeah.
So it's pretty exciting.
So, first off, this is JR.
Hi, I'm JR.
And just as a basic, for people who may not know, What's the elevator pitch for Spelljammer?
D&D in space.
There you go. All right. Well, our job here is done.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, what more do you need?
Yeah.
Basically, you fly around on Spelljammers, which are these ships that
I thought this was all about counterspelling stuff. It's not an entire edition for counterspelling and shutting down wizards.
No, that's Magic the Gathering.
Oh.
Also,
or
fun
Agents
Wizards
of
the Ghost, Wizards of the Coast product, or Agents of Vect.
Agents of Vect, right?
Which then you got to figure out what the 40k equivalent of like Force of Will or something is.
Sure.
At any rate, this is some kind of fun news. Last Friday they had a big fireside chat, sort of a state of the game.
What did they burn?
They burned.
Huh? Did they burn orcs?
Some bridges.
Oh, yeah. Hey!
But they didn't make like a huge detail-filled announcement. There was just one moment where like the brand director for D&D was like, someone in the chat was like, "Question: Spelljammer confirmed?" And he said, "I don't know if that's really a question, but yes."
So, what's the history of Spelljammer? Spelljammer is not new.
No, it's not new. It's been around since 2nd edition. I think 2nd edition was where it started. It was sort of we have all of these different settings. We're kind of tying them together with Planescape a little bit. Let's go crazy with it.
To me, the analogy I've always tried to use is like, if you're familiar with Marvel comics, right? There's like your normal Marvel comics, your Captain America, all your stuff that you see normally. And then there's the Marvel space, the Guardians of the Galaxy, right? Or Thor in like when he's off on Asgard and stuff, right? There's all this crazy, weird space stuff. And actually, Thor is probably a really good comparison to Spelljammer because they're very similar in style and art, and I'm sure, in fact, that Spelljammer drew some stuff from Marvel Space because those were kind of
the
contemporary stuff.
Absolutely.
So it's very much like this weird mashup where you're like, instead of just my normal D&D game, like we're gonna go adventure off through the planes and the 9 realms or whatever.
Yeah, and that's where you see things like you get the GIF, which are these like hippopotamus guys that fly around in Spelljammers and are mercenaries.
And some of the stuff is guns. Spelljammer's confirmed now, but some of the stuff just came out, or is coming out in the new book, right?
Yeah, some of it, the GIF, in fact, are in Mordenkainen's Tome of Foes.
And like the Gith and the Gith Yankee, and the Astral Dreadnought and stuff like that. Those are all kind of hallmarks of Spelljammer and like the Void, ethereal, whatever.
Yeah, they've been around. They come part and parcel with it. But what's really exciting is that the reason the people in the chat at the fireside chat were asking about this is because we know that there's a big setting themed book coming out. We don't know what exactly is going to be in it. But for more information on that, tune in July 23rd. So in 2 weeks from today. That official announcement will be going out, and we'll be covering that.
Yeah.
But we know that it's like Spelljammer, probably Dark Sun. If you've been stalking the Eberron designer on the internet, like I have been, Keith Baker, then you know that he's been working crazy hard to finish up a deadline for unspecified reasons on some unspecified project.
Stalking's not good, J.R.
Well, what else am I supposed to do? I just want to play a magic robot that is alive.
Well, you should be stealthing. Because stealthing is okay in D&D.
Okay.
Right?
Stealthing,
if you're
not
stealthing,
stalking.
Right.
All right. I will try that. But yeah, so we know that all of that stuff is coming out on or going to be announced on the 23rd, and that we'll be seeing like the fruits of that announcement not long after, because they said that there's some immediate payoff for that wait. I think they're gearing up to launch something this month that's kind of a surprise to everyone, which is kind of crazy, kind of cool, because it comes out ahead of the new Waterdeep stuff. So it'll be exciting to see like what that looks like.
It's gonna be astral apples, right?
Maybe
that's the fruit.
I would eat it.
The fruit of it.
Or the fruit of the weight. Yeah, astral apples.
Astral apples.
Which would be interesting because the astral plane is a timeless realm, so nothing grows or dies or ages in there. So like, would it just be a seed? Would it be? Do you have to age them and then bring them in?
See,
like how does all of that work?
Well, it's obviously both a seed and a ripe fruit and a rotted fruit.
Yeah, all at the same time because it's timeless.
Timeless.
So yeah.
So You said this is in the 23rd?
Yeah, this is the 23rd. But then in a week from today, we'll be getting the official news about all of the new limited edition core D&D book covers as well.
Right. The Crown, people just like random kids drew them. And,
basically. I wish we had one of those books in here. If you have seen Volo's Guide or Xanathar's Guide or any of that stuff, they
all have alternate artwork covers.
They all have alternate artwork covers, which look fantastic. They are amazing. They're shiny.
Yeah.
They're kind of all like this black, soft cover color thing. It's great.
We might get one in a
There used to
second.
be one. Oh well. Anyway. Yeah.
Well, that's
That's the original one. But don't worry about it. You guys, like, we've got pictures of them up on our website, so you can see like what these covers will look like. There's one with like a crazy skull-hatted barbarian, one with a beholder, one with a
and they're all bound in human flesh, right?
Well, if by human flesh you mean high-quality cardboard with a nice soft, not cardboard, but I forget what the material is, but it's nice and soft and kind of glossy, then yes.
Human flesh is nice and soft and kind of glossy.
Well, all right then. Bound in human flesh. You heard it here, folks.
Yep.
Those guys are coming out probably around the holidays.
Right.
So if you like, they look gorgeous. If you've been getting the collector's editions of Xanathar's Guide and Volo's Guide, then you may as well like round them out with the whole core
with the whole
set.
thing, definitely. So I've got a theory here.
Yes.
Let's just do some theory here. Right?
Okay.
So they're going to make an announcement on the 23rd.
Yes.
And then we're going to have some fruit of that announcement fairly soon after that, right?
Yes.
What's happening like not too long after the 23rd of this month?
After Gen Con.
Right.
Yeah.
So
I mean, it's like a week and change later,
yeah,
so who knows?
As we were talking about, like, X-Wing might have stuff at Gen Con because, you know, if I were to randomly guess where you might find the fruit of this...
Gen Con seems like a pretty...
Gen Con is not a horrible guess.
It's a very well-educated guess.
We could be wrong.
We could be.
I have been wrong.
Well, they weren't there at Gen Con last year.
Right.
But...
Stealth.
Who knows?
Stealth. Right? Because stealth is okay. Stalking is bad. Stealth is okay. So what do you expect to see?
Stealth.
Nothing. I expect to see nothing, I guess. We all rolled ones. So no, in Spelljammer.
Yes.
What would you expect to see? Since we've already got some of the races.
So in addition to all of the monsters and stuff, probably rules for operating your own Spelljammer. I like that. That would be to me like one of the more iconic things.
Sure.
Maybe some new magic items or themed spells. I don't know if we'd see something like new like subclasses or anything, but. We do know that they've been hard at work on the Scion and the Artificer, which are two new classes.
Which they'd already done an Arcana on both.
Yes, and they have said that these are going to be tied. Like if they were going to do them, they would tie them to like a setting, so that they'd have a reason beyond just hey, we want these classes to be out in the world. To show
the
them.
Artificer makes pretty good sense for like Eberron.
Exactly.
Because that's pretty classic for that.
And the Scion is Dark Sun kind of thing. It used to be the Mystic, and now it's going to be called the Scion, which you would know if you've been reading our little series about the development of it, because it's kind of cool. Like they've been sort of designing that like out in the open, so you can just like see what the process is like.
Well, Scions are always kind of like the weird stepchild of like D&D, right?
Yeah.
Like, they always want to have Scions in the game, but they never really like. A lot of times they don't click well, or they're just kind of weird, and you're like, how do I set it apart from like the 1 million other spellcasting classes?
Exactly. I'm very curious to see how this one works. Like, I don't know if you've seen any of the stuff.
I've read a little bit of it. Yeah.
Yeah, like it's just spellcasting, and it's more like built off of augmenting cantrips that you would concentrate on.
Sure.
And you can focus on two of these things at once and kind of do different things depending on that.
And the Artificer is kind of. I remember in the Unearthed Arcana. I wasn't super impressed with it. Yeah. At least one of the builds was very much just like, I have a gun.
I have a gun.
And
the other one is...
my gun gets better. And the other one was like, I have like potions or something.
I have some potions that are kind of a not great substitute for spells.
Yeah. And one of the problems they've had, I remember, from both the previous editions and this edition, is a lot of times the way that they work the Artificer is they're basically a spellcaster who like gives their spells to other people, right? They're like, I'm going to make this item and I'm going to store a spell into it, and then I can give it to JR and he can use
I have it.
And he can use that spell or whatever instead of me. And like, while that is like a great NPC role,
sure,
it kind of is not the best for a character role, because you're like, I don't actually get to do my own stuff, or if I do, it's just a character. Like, I'm just a different spellcaster.
Yeah, and even if you were just a different spellcaster, you know, I could just cast haste on you instead of giving you this thing that gives you haste.
That gives you haste, exactly. And then it's kind of weird when you're like, I'm going to make this bomb a fireball and give it to JR so he can cast my fireball instead of me.
Exactly.
You know, like, that seems like a lot more work than you just casting fireball.
Yeah, but it sounds like they've kind of overhauled it a little bit, so I'm very curious to see what the new draft of that looks like. There's a new Unearthed Arcana supposed to be coming out either later today or early tomorrow, depending on their release schedule. And so we'll kind of see what's coming out. It's an exciting time to be a D&D player.
Oh yeah, and hopefully we'll get some more real Warforged rules, right?
I want that so bad. Yeah,
because since they came out, that's been one of like the kind of iconic races in some ways of like different D&D, right?
Yeah,
like,
it's one of the like signifiers of like, okay, we're outside of like regular Tolkien-esque D&D. Yeah,
and people were like, I still remember the guy who played one of our friends played with the vampire robot. Yeah. That was pretty funny. I could choke you and steal your life force because I'm a vampire robot.
Exactly. There's a lot of really cool stuff to be mined from these other settings, especially if they include a lot of Planescape stuff. That's one of my favorite settings. Again, it's an iconic, like, outside of the normal D&D bucket kind of fantasy. You know, if you want to get like crazy weird magic and like cosmopolitan settings where angels and devils and demons and all that stuff get along, like you can find it there. Well, I guess. No. But
Spelljammer in particular would be really cool. It'd be great to see they could add some more kind of like vehicle rules into the game.
Absolutely.
Develop the whole Spelljammer system. I'm hoping if they do that at some point we could actually get like, this is like your castle building book, right?
Yeah,
like a whole chapter on like building your characters
and building your like home base.
Yeah, like that would be a really cool expansion.
Absolutely.
But being able to get Spelljammers and like customize them and do stuff with that and become Pirates of the Astral Plane or something like that.
I want to do that. Why are we not doing that right now? So I am super stoked and can't wait the 14 days that I have to
wait them. You know what, though? Better than waiting for those 14 days on the Astral Plane.
That's true, because that would never happen.
That would never happen. And JR would not waste away. Can you go insane on the Astral Plane?
Yes.
But if time has no meaning, how does your mental state change?
I don't know. Well, you can still affect other people, so you can, like, kill someone on the Astral Plane.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not like,
how does that, if time doesn't pass?
It's just timeless. I think like the experience of things happening still happens, but it's just you don't age.
Huh.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
So, what happens?
Maybe
if
it's better to say aging doesn't happen.
Okay, so what happens if you fight a like a ghost on the Astral Plane, and you get hit by their effect that ages you 10 years?
Oh, that's an interesting question.
Does that take effect if you're on the Astral Plane?
Oh, I don't know, but holy cow, that's an interesting one.
These are the deep thoughts of the day, folks.
Oh, I'm gonna go ask. I'll go ask the designers. See what they have to say.
And turn back in on the 23rd to hear their answer. Hopefully.
Absolutely.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
I think.
Yeah. So that's about it for our tabletop hour today. You can turn back in. We talked about X-Wing at first, then we covered up some Kill Team predictions, and now we've been talking about D&D and Spelljammer and our hopefully new releases for that. This is my good friend
JR, and this is my good friend.
I'm Abe, and thanks for turning into the BoLS Tabletop Hour, and we'll see you next Monday at 3 p.m. Central Time.
3 p.m. Woo!
Don't forget to subscribe. Thanks for watching.